Number 11. The Canadian lynx. One of the rarest cats in the world is the Canadian lynx. This amazing snow cat can be found mainly throughout Canada and in some northern US states. This lynx is a specialist predator, meaning that it has a very specific type of food. It feeds almost exclusively on the snowshoe hare, but they are capable of taking down a target as large as a young reindeer. It has been estimated that roughly just 100 of these animals are left in the state of Idaho, as they are under threat of recreational trapping. The typical Canadian lynx can weigh up to 24 pounds and is only about twice the size of your average house cat. They generally live at higher elevations and in places with lots of snow. They also face danger because of habitat destruction and reduced snow caused by climate change. And even though it's illegal to trap a lynx, it sometimes happens by accident when people try to capture other big felines like bobcats. Number 10. Flat-headed cat. You've probably never heard of the flat-headed cat, but guess what? It exists. It's one of the most unusual members of the cat family, distinguished from other cats because of its long and relatively flat head. It's about the size of a domestic cat, but has very short legs and a stubby short tail. Otherwise, you would never know the cat was wild. The flat-headed cat is very similar to the cheetah and the fishing cat in that its claws cannot be fully retracted. This means its claws are out all the time. The flat-headed cat lives specifically on the islands of Sumatra and Borneo, and once roamed through Thailand, but is believed to have gone extinct in this area. Very little is known about the species, and in 2013, the second one ever was photographed in Malaysia. The first confirmed sighting in Sumatra only took place in 1995. That's just how incredibly rare the flat-headed cat is. Number 9. The fishing cat. The fishing cat is a truly remarkable feline. It looks almost like a lynx with its tall, pointy ears. But the fishing cat has a very distinct face. Why is it called the fishing cat? Because it loves to get in the water and hunt for fish. These cats can weigh up to 26 pounds and can usually be found wandering through mangrove swamps, marshes or reed beds. They live primarily in India and Indonesia and are very rarely seen. In captivity, a fishing cat can live for up to 12 years. And while scientists believe these cats are mostly solitary, there is very little known about their social system since they are so hard to observe and study. However, we do know that their diet is made up primarily of fish, which they scoop or bite out of the water. But they may also eat other aquatic prey like frogs and water snakes. In fact, it's believed that these cats can even prey on wild pigs and goats. In India, they sometimes scavenge the remains of tiger kills. It's unclear how many are living at the moment, but it's believed that the destruction of wetlands and the illegal wildlife trade in Myanmar is contributing to their gradual extinction. Have you ever heard of this cat before? Do you think your cat would be able to fish? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more animal videos. Number 8. Snow leopard. Out of all the rare cats on this list today, the snow leopard is definitely the biggest. It's also arguably the most gorgeous rare cat in the world. According to the World Wildlife Foundation, snow leopards can only be found in the higher mountains of Asia, specifically in the Himalayan region. All snow leopards live above the tree line up to an elevation of 18,000 feet. Still, they have lots of room to roam, living all the way from Pakistan to Mongolia. Snow leopards are incredible for numerous reasons. They are agile, they have remarkable features, and they can jump roughly 50 feet in length. Snow leopards are also referred to as ghosts of the mountains because they are so elusive. It's almost impossible to track these animals, and even if you do, they're easy to lose because their coat of fur makes them blend in perfectly with the snow. As for just how rare these beasts are, there's estimated to only be around 4,000 to 6,000 left in the wild. Luckily, they live in an extremely isolated part of the world that isn't being encroached upon by human civilization as quickly as places like the Amazon jungle or the wetlands of the United States. Number 7. Manx. Also known as rumpies or stubbins because of their missing tail, this unusual cat comes from the Isle of Man, famous for its 1,000 banks and small population. Why doesn't it have a tail? Because the Manx cat was late for Noah's Ark and Noah slammed the door and severed its tail. No, actually, the remote island means that there have been many generations of inbreeding, causing a genetic mutation that leaves them without a tail. Alongside this distinguishing feature, they also have long hind legs and round faces. They look very similar to the common tabby cat at first glance, but they are very different upon closer inspection. The locals love this kitty and it's on currency, stamps, logos and t-shirts. The rarest of this breed are ones with all white fur. They are also notoriously adept hunters, which is why they were often found on ships or farms as a means of pest control. Number 6. Borneo Bay Cat. The Borneo Bay Cat is truly impressive. It doesn't even really look like a cat. It almost looks like a monkey or a lemur, with abnormally long tail and long limbs. The Borneo Bay Cat has chestnut hair that could easily belong to a monkey. Experts got there first, and one of few close looks at one of them in 1992 when someone brought a dying female to the Sarawak Museum. The first published photograph of a bay cat appeared in BBC Wildlife magazine in 1998. There are no captive specimens, and the estimated wild population numbers less than 2,500. And it's no wonder. The Borneo Bay Cat only lives on the island of Borneo in a very small area. It doesn't have much room to roam around. The Borneo Bay Cat is likely a solitary animal and probably hunts mostly birds and small monkeys. Its body is shaped so strangely because it spends most of its time swinging around in the trees. Again, more like a monkey than a cat. And even though the Borneo Bay Cat isn't very large, it can be ferocious. You definitely would not want to mess with one of these felines. Unfortunately, they are only getting rarer and rarer as the forests of Borneo are cut down to make room for plantations. Number 5. Andean Cat. The Andean cat is simply adorable. This feisty little feline has ashy grey fur and is ridiculously small. They only grow to be roughly 14 inches tall, weighing between 8 and 13 pounds. According to the International Society for Endangered Cats, the Andean cat is primarily found at high elevations in the Andes Mountains in the countries of Peru and Bolivia, in the north of Chile and in northern Argentina. However, there have been some supposed sightings of the Andean cat hanging out on the Patagonia steppe. Like most cats, the Andean cat has a specialized requirement for living. They love the rocky, relatively dry zones of the Andes. Here, they spend their days being adorable and hunting for small prey at dawn and dusk, such as small birds and rock lizards. Unfortunately, there are only around 1,000 of these cats still in existence. The Andean mountain cat looks similar to another South American feline called the pampas cat. While the two share a common habitat and hunt in the same territory, they are different species, complicating observers' abilities to definitively establish each cat's population and distribution. Number 4. Sand cat. Meet another small yet adorable rare cat. The sand cat lives throughout the deserts of Africa and Asia and is perfectly adapted to live in dry and inhospitable environments. The sand cat can live without water, it can run on sand, and it can even detect prey underground. Sand cats have dense hairs on the soles of their feet that protect them from hot sand while allowing them to move swiftly across it. But perhaps the best news about the sand cat is that they are not yet endangered. According to the National Zoo, they are only near threatened, which means we don't have to worry about conservation efforts for some years to come. They've likely survived due to their small size and the remote regions in which they thrive. If you're wondering what such an interesting little kitty eats, the answer is undoubtedly going to surprise you. Much of their prey includes venomous vipers and other incredibly dangerous snakes. It's like if your house cat was bringing home rattlesnakes every day. Number 3. Black-footed cat. Now it's time to take a look at the world's deadliest cat. While you may think that the lion or the tiger is the deadliest feline predator in the world, that's not true. The African black-footed cat is in fact the world's deadliest predator. It weighs 200 times less than the lion, and yet it has a success rate of 60% when hunting. That is simply unheard of in the predator world. The lion only has a success rate of between 20 and 25%. The black-footed cat only stands about 8 inches tall, weighing around 3 pounds, but they are deadly monsters. At first glance, the black-footed cat is definitely cute, but just stare into its eyes for a few seconds too long and you can feel the stone-cold gaze of a killer. This cat will capture more prey in a single night than a leopard will in the span of 6 months. This cat is so ferocious that it even has its own PBS miniseries. In a single night, the black-footed cat will kill anywhere between 10 and 14 rodents or birds. It's such a skillful hunter that it's basically impossible for it to go hungry for even a day. Unfortunately, as of 2016, the black-footed cat was moved to the vulnerable status, meaning that it is now at a high risk of being endangered in the wild. This fierce predator can only be found in Botswana, Namibia and South Africa. Number 2. Jaguarundi. The Jaguarundi is another of those cats that doesn't look like a cat. It kind of looks like an angry miniature bear or something. It also looks very mean. It has a death stare like no other cat you've ever seen in your life. In fact, now that I think about it, the Jaguarundi looks more like an otter with a temper than a friendly kitty. This is probably because the Jaguarundi has a slender body, a flat head, a long tail, and the strangest red-brown fur. It also has short ears, kind of like an otter. These cats live primarily in the lowlands of Latin America, all the way from Mexico to Argentina. They have huge patches of territory, with males overlapping less than 5%. That makes for excellent breeding situations. Also, it means that the Jaguarundi is one of the least endangered cats on the list, even though it is very rare to see. It's actually considered common all throughout South America, even if you never do see one. They live in dense forests, making them pretty much invisible. Number 1. Iberian lynx. Unfortunately, this is the rarest and most endangered cat in the world. As of 2002, there were less than 100 left in the wild. A conservation project called Life Iberlinz is helping to recover some of the species' lost territories. According to the World Wildlife Foundation, since then their numbers have increased to around 400. It is now in a very delicate balancing act between preserving the Iberian lynx and watching it fade into history. Almost nobody has seen one of these animals in the wild with their own eyes. They live mostly in remote parts of Spain and have pretty much only been photographed by sensory cameras in the forests. Number 10. Shark-on-shark crime. Perhaps one of the most unexpected things ever found inside of a shark was another shark. Of course, this really is just the circle of life. The little fish is eaten by the bigger fish, and the bigger fish is eaten by the even bigger fish. But this doesn't usually happen with sharks. Nonetheless, in 2013, researchers from the University of Delaware managed to catch photographic evidence of a small shark that had been swallowed by a much larger tiger shark. This photograph was taken in Delaware Bay, and the story of how it happened is pretty hilarious. The researchers were trying to recover tags from sand tiger sharks. To do that, they need to capture every tiger shark with a tag. Researchers baited a hook with tiny fish, threw it into the water, and soon a 3-foot dogfish shark came and took the bait. Within seconds, a sand tiger shark came out of nowhere and completely swallowed the new shark that was hanging on the line. Perfect bait. Photographs were snapped and the tiger shark was apprehended, tagged, and then released back into the wild. Tiger sharks are known to be pretty versatile eaters, basically opening their mouth and swallowing whatever will fit inside, which is quite a lot considering they grow to be about 10 feet long. Sand tiger sharks are also known as the ragged tooth shark because of its 3 rows of teeth. Despite how it might look, these sharks are not known to be aggressive towards humans, so you don't have anything to worry about. Smaller sharks, on the other hand, better watch out. Number 9. GoPro. Everyone who goes diving should bring a GoPro with them. It's the best way to document your experience underwater. You never know what might happen, but you're not supposed to let sharks swallow your camera. This is exactly what happened off the coast of Australia when a guy lost his underwater camera during a fishing trip. It was at the end of the day, the leftovers from the day's catch were being thrown overboard, and there was a feeding frenzy of lemon sharks. But soon, the bull sharks came. The guy had his camera fixed to the end of a pole and stuck it in the water, but when a bull shark decided to swallow it, there was not much he could do. Miraculously, the GoPro continued filming inside the mouth of the shark. It showed the most incredible footage of what it would actually look like to be swallowed whole by a shark. You simply can't make this stuff up. And to make things even more amazing, the bull shark decided to spit the camera out after a few seconds. The owner of the camera ended up getting his equipment back, thanks to the buoyant orange handle, which allowed it to float to the surface after the shark was done playing with it. The guy then went home and uploaded the amazing footage online of the camera's traumatic experience of being eaten by the shark. Do you have any experiences with sharks? Would you ever swim with sharks? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more animal videos just like these. Number 8. Giant sea turtle. You might think that a great white shark can eat whatever it wants, and that may be partly true. However, sometimes a great white shark bites off far more than it can chew. In 2019, the gruesome images surfaced of a 4,500-pound great white shark covered in blood. The shark had died, but how? Turns out the poor shark choked to death on a sea turtle. The turtle was still stuck inside the shark's mouth when it was found off the coast of Japan. The beast was discovered caught up in some netting just one day after it was seen swimming around with a sea turtle stuck in its mouth. It couldn't spit the turtle out, and it couldn't swallow the turtle, so the shark was doomed. The turtle also died, so it was probably a pretty upsetting experience for the both of them. Number 7. A human. As you might expect, one of the most disturbing things ever swallowed by a shark was a human. In our next story, the remains of a kayaker were found inside the belly of a giant tiger shark just days after the person went missing. After it was caught off the coast of Reunion Island, a routine dissection showed human limbs undigested inside of the stomach. Unfortunately, the remains were almost certainly once part of a full human who had been kayaking just days before. The guy who went missing was in his early 70s, and according to a report from Express News, he was identified by jewelry that was also found inside of the shark's body. There was no need for forensic tests to identify him, as nobody else had gone missing in the waters those days. However, it was still unknown whether the man had been eaten by the shark while alive, or if he had drowned and then been swallowed. Tiger sharks are incredibly large, and they are opportunistic feeders. It wouldn't be surprising for a tiger shark to either attack the kayaker or scoop him up. In another similar case, a Scottish tourist went missing off the coast of Reunion. He was last seen swimming until he disappeared. His wife reported his disappearance to the police, but it wasn't until a shark coughed up a human hand that suspicions were confirmed. He had been eaten by a shark. His wife identified the wedding ring on the hand that was found inside a tiger shark. While shark attacks are extremely rare, Reunion Island is a hotspot due to the environmental conditions that seem to be perfect for sharks. There is a big debate on the best solution to keep humans safe, which includes surfing bans, shark nets, or allowing large-scale killing of sharks. What do you think would be the best solution for sharks and humans to live peacefully together? Let me know in the comments below. Number 6. Porcupine fish. By far, one of the strangest things ever swallowed by a shark was a porcupine. But not the kind of porcupine you might be thinking of. A hungry shark tried to swallow a spiny porcupine fish, which resulted in the unfortunate demise of the shark. Just like the other shark that tried to swallow an enormous sea turtle, this shark also bit off much more than it could chew. A spiny porcupine fish is a lot like a land porcupine. The shark tried to eat it, but all the prickles and spikes got hooked inside of the shark's mouth and stopped it from being able to swallow. The spikes also block the shark's gills from working properly, basically causing it to suffocate. According to Live Science, the incident took place near the Maldives, and the aftermath of the strange encounter was photographed and documented by a marine biologist who just so happens to be in the area. The shark was a lemon shark, which are pretty frequent swimmers in the waters around the Maldives. These same waters are home to a massive population of porcupine fish, which you might also know as balloon fish or spiny puffers. These fish are famous for their ability to inflate their bodies like giant spiky balloons. The marine biologist who stumbled upon the scene said that she had never seen anything like it in her entire life. Number 5. Thousands of plastic pieces. It's pretty old news by now that the ocean is full of plastic, but it might be even worse than previously imagined. According to the BBC, a new study has found that the waters are so contaminated near Indonesia that whale sharks could potentially be swallowing hundreds of pieces of plastic. But not just every day, and not just every week. The new study says that whale sharks may be swallowing hundreds upon hundreds of plastic shards every hour because of the dangerous levels of pollution. The big issue here is that the waters around Indonesia are full of plankton and other yummy foods that whale sharks and other large fish like to eat. But when the whale shark opens its mouth, it swallows mass amounts of plastic waste. The study was completed by scientists using thin nets to gather samples and measure just how much plastic is invisible in the water. By using a magical science formula, the scientists figured out that filter feeders, just like whale sharks, are consuming shocking amounts of plastic on an hourly basis. This is because even normal plastic will break down into small pieces known as microplastics, which can easily be scooped up by humans and sharks alike. So, even though the whale sharks are getting a healthy dose of plankton, they are also eating plenty of man-made garbage. The study also found that during the rainy season, there is up to 44 times more plastic in the seawater than in the dry season because rivers carry mass quantities of waste, trash, and stuff that doesn't belong in the ocean into the ocean. Number 4. Swallowed whole. In this case, instead of being something strange that a shark swallowed, Let's check out a recent story in which a shark was completely swallowed by some random fish. This happened in 2019 during a deep-sea feeding frenzy off the South Carolina coast. Video captured the exact moments when one of the sharks involved in the feeding frenzy was swallowed live by something known as a wreckfish. The footage was captured by the NOAA Ocean Exploration and Research Team. They had been monitoring the schools of sharks as they feasted on dead swordfish, sitting about 1,476 feet below the surface. The sharks were minding their own business, having a nice time picking apart the dead swordfish, and from out of absolutely nowhere, the wreckfish snuck up behind one of the sharks and slurped it into its mouth hole and then swallowed it. You can see the entire thing on the video, which cuts out just as the shark's tail is slurped into the fish's mouth. Obviously, this is one rude fish. It's not very nice to sneak up on anybody and swallow them whole, whether it's a shark or not. But according to the NOAA, wreckfish are massive beasts of the deep sea world, able to grow over 6 feet long and build a mass of 220 pounds. Number 3. A school of fish. The coolest photo of 2020 has been awarded to the camera guy who managed to capture the exact moments that a whale shark had an entire school of fish in its mouth. It's one thing for a shark to open its mouth and swallow a few fish, but this photograph is simply amazing. The whale shark literally scooped up the entire school of fish like a kid scooping up all the butterflies in a field with one swing of a butterfly net. The photograph was taken in Mexico, where photographer Evans Borden was able to capture this scene while diving on his own during the coronavirus lockdown. Evans runs a diving company and was documenting the effects of reduced boat traffic on wildlife. He says that the female whale shark was friendlier than usual and came to say hello. What's even cooler is that you can see the fish just kind of suspended inside the shark's mouth. It was actually a school of about 50 remoras that were enjoying a free ride in her mouth. Whale sharks don't eat remoras. These fish actually eat scraps of prey dropped by the shark and also feed off parasites on the shark's skin and in its mouth, providing a cleaning service. Evans said that it was the first time he has ever seen this. I've seen dozens and dozens of whale sharks around the world before, with remoras going in and out of their mouths. But I've never seen so many remoras literally sleeping inside and enjoying a free ride. The photo was a winner of Scuba Diving Magazine's annual photography competition. Number 2. Plenty of birds. By far the strangest things found consistently inside the bellies of sharks are feathers from birds. Sharks live in the ocean and birds live in the sky, so it doesn't really make sense that bird feathers are continuously discovered inside sharks. Just what exactly is going on here? According to some experts, sharks have a habit of coughing up feather balls when captured by ecologists. After analysing several feathers discovered bathed up by tiger sharks caught along the coasts of Mississippi and Alabama, a molecular biologists from the Field Museum discovered that the birds the feathers belonged to were brown thrashers. These are songbirds that live in the forest. So, why are they being found in the bellies of the apex predators of the ocean? You would think it would be pelican feathers or feathers from some kind of gull. Over the next 8 years after this initial discovery, the same ecologist found bird remains in 41 out of 105 sharks caught. It turns out that large flocks of birds will sometimes migrate over the Gulf of Mexico. Whether because of exhaustion, storms, or some other unfortunate event, many of these birds plummet into the sea. It's likely that the sharks are simply scooping them up totally by accident. It's much less dramatic than expected, but still a pretty fascinating story. Number 1. Teacher swallowed whole. This story is pretty terrifying. In 2014, a 28-year-old teacher was literally swallowed whole by a great white shark during a diving session off the coast of Australia. Sam Kellett was out on the water with friends and they were supposed to dive west of Adelaide, but a fire warning forced them to move spots. This decision would change all of their fates. The group was happily freediving and spearfishing until things went badly. One of the divers witnessed the entire thing. The diver allegedly began to scream once he saw the shark thrashing around where just moments earlier his friend had been swimming. Witness Aaron Whitaker said, "I turned around and saw the tail of a shark come out of the water and it was thrashing around. I put my face under the water to see the shark, but I couldn't see it. All of a sudden, a white pointer shark came out of the murky water vertically towards the surface just behind me and almost launched itself out of the water." Police divers were never able to recover the victim's body. This is because they were never able to find the shark that was responsible for swallowing him. The only items recovered were 2 lead weights and the man's spear gun, which had incisions consistent with the teeth of a great white shark. Apparently, it swallowed the diver, then chewed on his spear gun before spitting it out. Number 10. Yellow-bellied sea snake. The yellow-bellied sea snake is one of the rarest venomous snakes in the world. It's an absolute monster to behold, and its yellow belly instantly screams, "Run away!" They have a very wide range, being found from Peru to Australia and New Zealand to Hawaii. It's actually the only sea snake in the world that has arrived at the Hawaiian Islands. It's also only one of 2 sea snakes that has ever made its way to New Zealand. But the accolades don't stop there. The yellow-bellied sea snake is the most aquatic snake in the world. It has never in the history of evolution developed the ability to survive on land. This is a powerhouse reptile that can grow to be up to 34 inches long, which is just about 3 feet. As for the danger factor, the yellow-bellied sea snake is at the top of the food chain. It has no natural predators and is super venomous. The toxin is able to damage your skeletal muscle, it can inflict paralysis, and if left untreated, you can die. But despite how dangerous the yellow-bellied sea snake is, it's such a rare animal that not a single death has ever been reported in Australia. Number 9. West African carpet viper. The West African carpet viper is a savanna species of snake that you will never want to meet. According to the African Snakebite Institute, it's classified as very dangerous, and it primarily lives in a wide stretch of land from Central Africa to the coast of West Africa, but it literally only lives in the savannah. You won't run into this snake anywhere in the jungle, but if you stand in the wrong place at night in the middle of the desert, you might find yourself bitten and in severe pain. An unexpected bite from the West African carpet viper can cause swelling, blistering, and massive tissue damage. Anti-venom is needed, and if not administered, the bite could be fatal. This snake has evolved over time to blend in perfectly with the rocks and dirt of its savanna environment. As a nocturnal ambush predator, it can typically be found coiled in a striking position while waiting for something to eat. And unfortunately for humans, this snake has adapted to urban areas and can often be found hunting near rural dwellings in West Africa. Number 8. Egyptian cobra. The Egyptian cobra is another mean snake that you better hope never comes knocking on your door. Of course, the Egyptian cobra would never knock on your door. It would simply slither under the door and then bite you in the leg. That's just how mean this snake is. It's one of the rarer species of cobra and is not isolated strictly in Egypt. It's found all over East Africa and is seriously venomous. This is also a very robust snake, with dwellings found inside trees and near riverbeds. That means you're basically never safe from the Egyptian cobra when in its domain. It can be hiding anywhere, and even though the Egyptian cobra can't spit its venom, it's still incredibly terrifying when it spreads its wide hood in warning. The average length of the Egyptian cobra is up to around 7 feet, meaning the snake is taller than most humans. Have you ever seen a cobra in real life? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Number 7. Green and white ball python. The ball python gets its name from its tendency to curl into a ball and hide its head when it's stressed or scared. Ball pythons are widely favoured as pets because they are among the most popular kinds of pet snakes because they are quite calm and docile. They can get to be about 4 to 5 feet in length and can live up to 30 years if taken care of properly. But of course, going near a ball python in the wild and or owning one as a pet does come with some risks. For instance, while it might not be able to constrict a person to death, it is possible for one of these snakes to harm a human, especially a young child. And while a bite is unlikely to cause serious injury, the experience can still be traumatizing, painful, and expensive. They come in all kinds of unique color variations, some of which are extremely rare and unique. There are now over 4,000 morphs in captivity, ranging from acid, which is the dark brown or black with golden spots, to the banana, the dreamsicle, with white or pink, to the sunset, to green with white, which who knows what it's called. If you could have any coloured snake, what would you choose? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you're new here. We have lots more animal videos coming up. Number 6. The Malayan Crate. The Malayan Crate is a slippery bugger. According to Thailand snakes, about 50% of all bites from this thin serpent result in death. This is even true with the administration of antivenom. If no treatment is given, death is almost always inevitable. Based on the data of toxicity levels of terrestrial snakes, the Malayan Crate actually ranks 3rd for toxicity, meaning it's more than just deadly. This snake is also known as the Blue Crate, and they can be found all over Thailand and other countries in Southeast Asia. They are relatively rare, and they are very distinct. The snake has black splotches with white stripes in between, and it typically lives near rice fields and dams. The Malayan krait will move into a rat hole and spend most of its time hunting lizards, frogs, and other small animals. If bitten by one of these snakes on your next vacation to Thailand, you better have a good immune system. The first symptom is nausea, followed by vomiting and weakness. Within 1 hour of being bitten, respiratory failure could occur, leading to death. What's really strange is that the bite itself is sometimes painless. You may not even know you've been bitten until you start to get sick, and before long, your lungs could stop working and your vacation will be over quicker than you thought. Number 5. Coastal taipan. The coastal taipan is yet another horribly dangerous snake. This is one you will find mostly around the continent of Australia and even on the island of New Guinea. According to most professional toxicologists, the coastal taipan is either the 3rd or 4th most venomous snake in the world. There is still some speculation on just what constitutes the most venomous. This serpent was first described by a German naturalist in 1867, and since then 2 subspecies have been recognised. The coastal taipan is considered to be the longest venomous snake in the country of Australia. An adult can grow to be almost 7 feet in length. And even though the inland taipan is more venomous, it's not quite as long. As for the appearance of the snake, it actually looks a lot like a black mamba. The coastal taipan has a relatively slender body, a large head, and big beady black eyes. Number 4. Tiger snake. The tiger snake is definitely the most adorable serpent on the list for today, and that's really saying something. At least, they're adorable when they're small. It's not until they get huge and mean that they become suddenly terrifying. In any case, the tiger snake is so unique that you're unlikely to ever confuse it with a different type of slithering animal. It has black and yellow striping, quite similar to that of a tiger, and it doesn't quite look as dangerous as the other snakes we've talked about today. The total length of the tiger snake varies from anywhere between 3 feet and 6 feet, and their habitat is also just as broad. They live in the marshes, open forests, and even the grasslands of Australia. You can find tiger snakes all over the continent, but most Australians don't even know about the fearsome reputation of the snake. That's because most people will never encounter one. Tiger snakes are extremely rare animals, and even though they look pretty harmless when they're small, compared to a cobra or a coral snake, the tiger snake is extremely aggressive and highly toxic. Not only is it completely unafraid to attack you, but also a single bite could leave you blue and breathless. Number 3. Mojave green rattlesnake. The Mojave green rattlesnake is one of the most terrifying snakes in North America. And while rattlesnakes are of course pretty common, the Mojave green is a special case. Keep in mind that there are many different types of rattlesnakes, most of them spread throughout the United States and Mexico. The Mojave green is not the same as the western diamondback rattlesnake. They're 2 totally different animals. The Mojave green lives in the south of California, all the way to the Sonoran Desert. And what really separates the snake from others is that it kind of looks green. It's not completely green, but it has an extremely light brown colouring that makes it appear greener than other rattlesnakes. In terms of pure danger, you can expect a bite from the Mojave green rattlesnake to be just as horrifying as from any other venomous rattlesnakes found in a North American desert. If bitten by one of these fascinating creatures, you will need medical attention immediately. Number 2. The rarest snake in the world. Let's take a break from all the horror just for 1 second to check out the rarest snake in the world. The St. Lucia racer is not especially dangerous, but according to a 5-month extensive survey done on the small island of St. Lucia, it turns out there are only 18 of these snakes left on Earth. This is incredible because for 40 years, locals thought the snake had gone extinct. It had been thought for decades that the invasive mongooses had killed off all the St. Lucia racers. Then, in 1973, a single St. Lucia racer was found on a small protected islet. Now, scientists believe there are as many as 18 left scattered somewhere on the island, which makes the St. Lucia racer the rarest snake in the world. Now that the island of St. Lucia is free of the mongooses that had originally killed most of the native reptilian inhabitants, these snakes are making a comeback. They aren't dangerous, but they are the rarest. Number 1. Sea kraits. Sea kraits are the most dangerous and fascinating animals we're going to be talking about today. There are actually 5 names that have been given to this one species, which has made identifying the snake extremely confusing. Sea kraits are often referred to as banded sea kraits, banded sea snakes, or even yellow-lipped sea kraits. But the truth is that it's really just a sea krait, and it's easily identifiable by its blue and black pattern of stripes. The term krait refers to a type of venomous snake found primarily in Asia, but there are some significant differences between a sea krait and a normal land snake. The first major difference is in the tail. Because sea kraits have developed special paddle-like tails for swimming through water, they do look a little different from standard land snakes. But there's also a big difference between sea snakes and sea kraits. Sea snakes live in the water and don't spend any of their time on land, whereas sea kraits can go from the sea to the land without any problem. Sea kraits spend an equal amount of time underwater and slithering along the ground. They're basically land and water hybrids. Oh yes, and they are one of the most lethal creatures in the world. The sea krait has venom 10 times more powerful than a rattlesnake. The only good news is that the sea krait is generally very peaceful and will only attack when cornered. The bad news is that if you're hanging around in Asia, specifically in Southeast Asia, you can't escape the sea krait. They're on land and in the water. Next thing you know, they'll be flying through the skies. All these snakes are pretty rare and unique, but out of all of them, which one do you think is the scariest? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't be shy. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for all the newest videos from the channel.